Hi, this is Chris Payne of Advanced Systems Group. Welcome to Remote Control, a webinar series from Silicon Valley Video focused on innovations in remote production. Today, we're talking with Mike Szumlinski, Chief Commercial Officer of Iconik. How you doing, Mike? It's good to see you.
Pretty good, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Of course, our pleasure. It's funny. We were talking about sort of our experiences with Iconik, and I looked back to one of our original experiences with you on the NAB show floor 2 years ago. We were actually doing a demo of Iconik with a customer that ended up adopting it for their platform. And, I remember right in the middle of the demo, as you were going through, the customer was on their iPhone and they created an account. They started to upload media right to the platform. And I sort of took a step back. I was like, wow, this is a game changer, right? This is something totally innovative, that we're not really seeing in the market today. So, from that, I'd like to maybe sort of pose the first question and maybe have you give us an overview on the background and the conception of Iconik and, the vision, from the people that brought the platform to life. Maybe give us some of that background.
Yeah, absolutely. So Iconik is a company that's been around. Well, Cantamo is our parent company, and we've been around for about a decade now. And all of the founders of the company come from enterprise media management. So a lot of history back going to Ardendo before it was purchased by VizRT, and a lot of work with Vitaspine over the years and things along those lines. And what we really found over time was day one goals with the company was really, let's try to democratize media management. We know that people have more storage than they know what to do with. And back then it was still just one bucket of storage. It wasn't even really what we've gotten to today with tiers and that sort of thing. And what we've basically done is iterated over time and learned that, our traditional models of doing things may not be the best way of doing it in the modern way. And so we started Iconik with the ideal of building something that had an infinite scale so that we weren't fighting the system as our customers grew with it, but also that was easy to get into, that you could just kind of get into rolling, go, and have a completely fair cost structure as well. One of the things we found oftentimes with Cantamo Portal, which is still a great product, we still sell a lot of it, but it's relegated really to higher end organizations because of the infrastructure around it and the price point. And we had a lot of customers for years coming to us saying, we love this product. We love the UI, the smoothness of it, but we don't have the resources to implement this in our facility. We don't have server admins. We're a small media organization. And we looked at that and said, there's got to be a way to solve this. The other thing that really started popping up more and more was we're not just a four-wall business anymore. We'd have customers coming to us and saying, hey, we got an office in New York, we got an office in San Francisco, we got an office in Dallas. And they share and they work together. They're on phone calls together, that sort of thing. How do we handle the video side of that? Because it just wasn't something that was easily doable. And so those two key ideals kind of came behind Iconik. And it went from, are we just building yet another MAM? And the answer was absolutely no. It was, we're building something that's more of a global collaboration hub. We're focusing on allowing people that didn't have access to this kind of stuff the ability to do it and doing it cost effectively, but also doing it in a way that it can scale with the growth of their business, or large scale businesses can enter right into the picture on day one and have their needs met.
Right. Yeah, it's a great example, and it's funny. It's like you mentioned about with the platform being interesting to people that on the smaller end, smaller scale. But I mean, we're also seeing major corporations adopting this platform because of that, right? Because of the ease and not having to spin up all those resources, right?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, one of our largest customers, and they've done case studies with us, is Google. And obviously, Google's not a small company. And they've been with us almost since the beginning. Our customer mix is everywhere from large scale enterprise all the way down to one or two people working out of their houses doing drone video, right, and everywhere in between. So that was, a big part of the design ideal, was making it accessible to people.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. So this sort of leads me into my next question. What when you look at Iconik and then you see the marketplace of, the traditional MAMs, the traditional PAMs that we're all well aware of, how do you see, Iconik differentiating itself in that marketplace? And how do you see the market sort of looking at Iconik addressing that, right? It sort of works both ways.
Yeah, so there's two things at play here. One is our architecture behind Iconik is relatively unique in the marketplace, meaning that when we look to build Iconik, we said, hey, we know a lot about media and entertainment workflows. We know a lot about what the people are concerned with around these workflows. But how do you architect something exceptionally large? So we looked to the Microsofts and Googles and Ubers and Facebooks of the world for architecture, right? What tool sets and what technologies are they using to allow these platforms with millions or billions of people to access them, and use that as our foundation for building Iconik? So from day one, the goal was ultimate scale. And obviously that took us longer to build because we had to really look at that and be smart about the way that happened. But what it's allowed us to do is grow linearly without any problems in the back end and infrastructure. And I think what that's also done to flip that is that a lot of customers that were on those traditional systems almost kind of had this "I don't believe it" mentality, right? Because if they had invested 5 figures, 6 figures, in some cases 7 figures into media management, and their use case fit inside the Iconik use case box, they'd look at it and said, wait, I just paid, the other company $150,000 for my annual maintenance renewal, and you're telling me it's like 20 with you guys?
Right.
How? And we say it's because of this kind of democratization and multi-tenant, environment of software as a service. You're sharing the resources that are expensive. Most people that have media management systems have servers running on-prem that are running at 8% load most of the time. But every now and then they got to go to 100% load for 20 minutes or 15 minutes. Or they're buying a terabyte of RAM for a giant caching server for their indexing for their media. And these are exceptionally large costs that aren't actually being utilized the vast majority of the time. And when we're in an infrastructure like ours, where we get to share those resources around, everybody gets exactly what they need when they need it. And if you have a big job that comes in and you need to scale up utilization because you brought in 5 temps and you're shooting twice as much video, Iconik just scales elastically behind the scenes for you, and you're not worrying about adding another server, adding another transcoder, adding another this, and adding another that. So I think that's been the biggest kind of flip on its head, is the reality that something like this is even possible, because it's, the first time, you see fire, you're like, what's fire? Right? Like, I don't know. And then you touch it and it's hot and you're like, okay, now I've learned it does exist. It's a thing. Right. So.
No, it's true. It sort of takes me back to that old baseball analogy, movie analogy of Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Right.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Well, listen, Mike, thanks so much. This was great. Pleasure talking with you about the platform. And I think, we'd really like to sort of continue this model and have some more sessions. Maybe we'll just, sort of address a couple of different questions about new topics around Iconik and how the platform is, addressing things in the market, and this around this ever world, of technology that's constantly evolving for us. Right. So I think it's really good, and I'm excited to continue it with you.
Awesome, Chris. I appreciate it, and we will gladly be here to help spread the word.
Awesome. Well, this is Chris Payne of Advanced Systems Group, and we want to thank you for, attending, and look forward to the next session of Remote Control with Mike from Iconik. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.